Blessed day, soul family. Welcome back. It is Resolution Thursday, and we're looking at the vitality of relationship in the same way that we can look at the vitality of one's well-being. For example, in Qigong, we look at the concept of quality and quantity of energy as a distinct um, indicator of vitality or health of could be anything. Mental health could be the health of a back and the functioning of a healthy back, or legs or knees, joints, gut, what have you. Um, I like to look at the vitality. So for example, if the body is integrated and if there's coherence and you can have full body movement, you can do your practice, your movement, no problem. You can freely move about the world. That said, there's so many people uh, who have difficulty moving about the world because of pain, physical pain, whether it be neck, back, knee, what have you. Sometimes we have areas of the body that need rehabilitation and repair. And it's not the whole body, but it affects the body. And so, the weakest link brings down the rest, right? So I like to look at the vitality spectrum, and that's what we're talking about today, the vitality spectrum. So I'll have my computer back tomorrow, and we'll be able to do a new or a regular uh Martial Mystic calendar series program. So I like to look at the vitality spectrum in this way: rehabilitation and recovery, maintenance, strengthening, and then building endurance. This is the vitality spectrum. So for example, you can build endurance once strengthening has been established. You can only build upon strengthening if you've maintained wellness. And then you can only maintain wellness after you've had adequate rehabilitation and recovery. There's always something in the body and the mind landscape that needs some attention, some level of recovery and rehabilitation. And when we feel we're healthy, we need to work on strengthening and building endurance. That's what resilience is. We talked about the comfort zone, the learning zone, and the growth and panic zone. Being able to expand our comfort zone so as to be not destabilized or thrown off too easily. If we have a body that is not working well, we can't walk. Well, we're not going to be able to go to the places that we would like to go to. Emotionally, if we're hurt, if we have trauma, we're going to be more rattled by the things we hear and see around us and in the world. And and so today we want to talk about Resolution Thursday. We want to talk about conflict. What is the role of conflict in our lives? What is it? Why is it there? Why does it happen? Why do people come together and then why do people separate? Why do things come together and then why do they split? And when we look at Wu when we look at Tai Chi, when we look at Yin Yang, we see that actually this is the nature of the universe. From Wu Tai Chi initiates movement, initiates splitting, and then at rest, there's reunification. So if we look at the Tai Chi classics from Wang Zongyue, he says Tai Chi is born of Wu Ji and is the mother of Yin and Yang. When there is movement, they become distinct. When there is stillness, they return to being indistinguishable. Um, and then my teacher in his book also talks about this. So it makes sense that humans follow suit as humans are of nature and within this material realm. When Taiji moves, there is splitting. When Taiji ceases, when it rests, it reunites, goes back to Wuji. Though when we experience it in our daily lives, we have the what Buddhists would call attachment and aversion. Attachment causes magnetism, clinging, and well, Buddhists would say suffering because a split needs to happen, but we're not ready for it or we don't want it. If we have aversion and something is being magnetized to us, we're trying to push it away. It's trying to unite or unify with us for some reason. And oftentimes we like to have our cake and eat it too, don't we? I mean, we want things when we want them, and we want them at the dosage that we would like. Yesterday we talked about how we have such how humans were predisposed to look for the things that we want. Once we find them, we indulge, overindulge to the point of overconsumption, no? And if we are uncomfortable or averse to something, we push it away. I see on social media how people want to look for the answers to into the news and go down rabbit holes, and then when they find the information that they're looking for, they are traumatized and uh, affected by gaining the truth of what they were seeking. We want things, we don't want them. We don't want them, we get them. So we're trying to also expand on this idea of relationship, Qigong of relationship, and how Qigong is an exploration of relationship. Whether we're having internal conflict or external conflict, there's something that is stimulating us. And that's the word that we use in nonviolent communication, right? Nothing makes us mad. Nothing makes us happy because we don't want to give that power that we have away to make ourselves happy, mad, angry, satisfied, grateful. We we have each one of us has the power to initiate, engage, fulfill those feelings and needs for ourselves. And yet we are still affected by one another. There's a neuroscientist, Lisa Feldman Barrett. She says the best thing for a nervous system is another nervous system. And the worst thing for a nervous system is another nervous system. So when it comes to conflict resolution, remember the root of this series is 2025, coming out of that year and looking at conflict resolution and dispute resolution systems. On the vitality spectrum, where are we as a species with our ability to resolve conflict? Do we need to rehabilitate and restore and recover? Are Do we have tools and means to maintain and sustain relationship? Can we are we at a place where we can strengthen our abilities to resolve conflict? Or to are we at a place where we can challenge our abilities to resolve conflict? And then individually, how do we regulate the field? How can we regulate the field? They say, be the change that you want to be in the world. It's easy to outsource our peace and say, because the leaders of the world are going to war, my peace is disturbed. And yet we can walk around in our lives and stimulate conflict, initiate conflict, avoid conflict, be avoidant, and be averse. And we don't take the courage to resolve conflict, and yet we expect our leaders to easily resolve the conflicts of the world. We would at least expect them not to inflame more tensions. And so, can we ask the same for us? Can we ask ourselves to not inflame tensions and conflict in our own spheres of influence? I think that's a skill in and of itself. We've talked about martial arts as being a dispute resolution system. And as cultivated martial artists, we learn skills and practices and techniques to stop the weapon, to stop an attack, right? In the same way that we use traditional Chinese medicine to prevent illness and to prevent disease and sickness, what are some of the ways that we can live to prevent conflict, to mitigate conflict? How are we managing conflict when tensions are high? And what are the modalities that exist that can give us the skills so that we're not perpetuating and propagating, feeding into the violence on the planet? This is the work that Marshall Rosenberg dives into. How do you know when you're contributing to the peace on the planet? How do you know when you're contributing to the violence on the planet? So he says, anytime we have four friends that can signal us to when we are likely to contribute to the violence on the planet: guilt, anger, shame. I want to say fear, but I can't recall. Once those feelings become embodied, we are, oh, depression, anger, depression, guilt, and shame. Once those energies become embodied, now we're on the path of perpetuating violence on the planet. Remember the quote that we are looking at in here, March, the calendar quote is, do not be afraid of the initiation of a thought, but rather be afraid of the delayed perception of that thought. In this case, anger, depression, guilt, and shame. Don't be afraid of those things. Be afraid of the delayed perception of anger, depression, guilt, and shame. And merely being awake to what's alive in us is the first step to turning the boat around. So, where are we at in terms of our vitality to meet conflict and resolve it in a good way? Can we be skilled to resolve conflict? Once we gain the skill, how does that dictate the course of our lives and the decisions that we make? And how does that make us apt, proficient to contribute to our communities, to our spheres of interest, our spheres of influence? The vitality spectrum, resolving conflict, and contributing to the peace on the planet. Looking at the concept of relationship as a species, a soul family, and reminding ourselves that in that grand beyond, all all conflicts are resolved. If you can't find peace in the concept and the idea that in the great beyond, after death, all conflicts are resolved, maybe we can find peace, solace in the concept of everything is temporary, even anger, even guilt, and even shame. If we have a healthy relationship to conflict, we're not going to suppress those. We're not going to be averse to those. We're not going to push those away, but we'll use those as medicine of the moment to see what the lesson is, where the rebalancing is needed to eat or to swallow that bitterness and to see how we can course correct. I hope that speaks to you. Let me know what you think. What are the modalities that you lean on to influence your sphere in a positive way? And I'll continue to share mine. Uh, until next time, may your chi flow smoothly and remember to embrace the woo.